Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Money Diaries. In this video, we're just going to answer some of the awesome people's questions that makes me feel good that you guys are asking questions. So please ask more because I need to feel like everybody is engaging with the content. I don't want to just put out arbitrary content out there in the ether because then I'm just wasting my time. I'm going to tell you a story. The craziest thing is that I never in my life ever thought that I would actually negotiate these kinds of deals. I remember one of my brother's and I's shittiest jobs ever was we worked for a call center, and I'm pretty sure it was like at $12 an hour. And all we did was try to sell insurance, not insurance, but like warranties on old cars. Like if they had like a 1998 Toyota Corolla, we would call them up and try to sell some kind of like engine warranty. It was so shady, but my brother and I needed money so bad. And I was the worst. Like they would have those boards where they would track people's sales. And I was like at -1 because some people would like call back and be like,
I don't know who you are. I will look for you. I will find you.
And I never thought in my life that I would ever be good at like convincing people to give money and close $1 million deals. Let me just give you the structure first, and then I'll go over the mindset because the mindset is everything. The actual structure of the revenue share deal itself is quite simple. We take somewhere around 6 to 7% of their total revenue. That's what all deals eventually translate to. And then it goes down over time depending on what the business's goals are, right? So, for example, one of the contracts we're now down to about 3% because they're making like 6 million per month in revenue. So the other contract, we capped our retainer because we have equity in that company, and so we want that money to be reinvested back into the growth of the company to build the value upon exit. That's the range of the deals. Now, I will tell you that my background, I never thought in my life that I would negotiate percentage of revenue with any businesses. And for me, I never went into this thinking that, like I'm going to try to get as much money as I can out of these businesses. It was more like I understood the value of what we were bringing to the table, and that to incentivize us properly and not leave the contract, like i.e. go off and build our own business and become a competitor of that company, I understood that they needed to compensate us so that we wouldn't go off and leave and build our own company and become a competitor of theirs. That was the reason why I decided to go for a revenue share, because it just made logical sense to me. And that really also rooted from the fact that if a senior e-com strategist was going to know how to generate millions of dollars in revenue per month for a business, what stopped them from going off and building that business on their own, right? I want to make it clear that that was like the reason why I decided to do revenue share. It wasn't because I thought, I'm going to try to extract as much money from this business as possible. Because it was also important that the business can afford that type of revenue share to us, and that the business was going to remain profitable. And so I found that the sweet spot was going to be in the beginning around 6 to 7% of their total revenue, and they can still walk away with somewhere between a 15 to 30% net profit at the end of the month that they can reinvest back into the business. To close those deals are a whole different conversation. Closing those deals, it's not like they find out about you, and then from day one, you're like, okay, well, give me a percentage of your revenue. If you, as a business owner, put in your blood, sweat, and tears, and then you decide to hire an agency, and then on day one they ask you like, well, give me 6% of what you're making, you're gonna be like, you're funny, fuck off, who are you, I don't even know you, right? So I structured it in a way that was a graduation towards that, and it gave us the opportunity to build rapport and trust. So inside the business, I've set up a test phase. It's 6 weeks where we work together for a very affordable fee to a business that is making at least $30,000 per month. And during those 6 weeks, we basically like court each other, right? We tell them that we're going to drive results during those 6 weeks, and then they're going to see if we actually do it. And then we qualify the founder to see if the synergy is there. Are they just as interested? Are they going to work their ass off the way that we're going to work our ass off to scale the business? So a lot of times we come across, not a lot of times, but like sometimes we come across founders who are still too green. They're too new founders. And it's like we can tell that they're going to basically get in their own way of the business from scaling. I think for us, we've built the authority enough that most businesses come to us and are like, oh yeah, we know you do rev share, we're totally fine with that. But in the very beginning, when I first started the business, that test phase was a really crucial time. Usually during the 6 weeks, we can double their monthly revenue, sometimes triple the monthly revenue prior to us coming in. And so by then, the higher the results that you get them during that test phase, the more that they're going to be like, oh my gosh, like we cannot obviously do this without you. And so then you have a higher leverage to negotiate for a percentage of revenue share. So then after that 6 months, then we go for the equity, meaning that, we would, as long as the business is, the founders intend to exit, and meaning that they want to sell the company, then we negotiate for equity, because our intent is to scale these businesses to 1 million per month in revenue, i.e. 12 million annual, and 6% of that gets costly and for them. And so then in exchange for capping our fee, we'll go for equity in exchange for that. So it was just a sequential thing. It wasn't like I took it step by step, and I took the step that I felt like was the best for everybody, not just for the agency, but for the team members and for the founders, to make sure that they can afford it and it was profitable. And this is the reason why we don't take on e-commerce businesses who have more than a 30% COGS, because then they just can't afford us, even if we were to scale them. And what's realistic in what we do, the 30% COGS, our fee would be too much that the business wouldn't be profitable. Next question, how did you get over self-limiting beliefs? Self-limiting beliefs, that is a very broad thing, like the specifics of what a self-limiting belief is, but I know that we all experience it. I can only tell you from my experience what was the biggest game changer for me. The biggest game changer for me was when I stopped. I remember when I sold my camera and I sold my mattress, and I had $325, and I was at my lowest point. While I would take a shower, I would cry in the shower, and I would be so angry. I was angry, I was like, this person did this injustice to me. And I was dating this this guy at the time who his family was very wealthy, and he grew up in a very comfortable situation, and and his family was so loving, and it was like a representation of everything that I felt like I was gypped in my life. And I remember being angry at him. I was just like an angry person. And And I realized, that I had to, I think up to that point, I kept looking at the world and like the injustices that the world had placed upon me, and like also the fact that like everybody else had it better than me. And I carried that for a long time. I carried that into my early 30s, like I carried it for a long time. And it wasn't until I fully took responsibility that it no longer became about other people and it became about me. Like I understood that I had to take control of my own thoughts and my own decisions that led me to that point. And I continue to do that today, where in business, control is an illusion. You really don't have any control about whatever is happening around you. You have to just control, you can only control yourself, and you can only control your reactions to things that happen. And that was a big massive, I think, like pivot, where I started to like actually have control over my life in the direction that I wanted it to take. And I stopped blaming other people and I started taking full responsibility. You have to take a step back and really just analyze the situation and become problem solvers. And you have to create solutions that might not work out the first time, but if you keep trying to make it work, it's going to work. And whether that's in your relationship or whether that's in your business or whatever it is that is not working out, you have to remove the angst and the anger and the negative energy around it, and just accept like, all right, like this is the situation. I'm gonna try a new method tomorrow, and it's super hard to do that because it requires you to change, and change is something that it's painful, and I think that that's why a lot of people avoid changing themselves, because it's painful. But it's actually why successful people are successful, is because they're willing to change themselves to adapt to get the best outcome. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah!
Next question: is the $112,000 income that I made last month normal, or is that an outlier? So definitely like both. It's, when you're in business, it's like you, as a CEO and founder, you're always trying to find ways to like increase your revenue. So that was a response to like COVID-19. COVID has, for some businesses, it's impacted them really negatively. But for e-commerce businesses, I would say about 75% of the niches out there. In e-commerce, it was actually like a tremendous jump in revenue. And we experienced that. Only one of our accounts folded during this time, and we went on a pro bono retainer to help them out. But the other accounts, thrived. And even my best friend who has an e-commerce business, her business almost tripled in their monthly revenue. And that's what we saw. So because of that, and because we're in a rev share model, our revenues also increased. We're going to see that same type of performance this month. But then we do expect that July is going to be a slower month, and especially that a lot of like COVID-19 states and countries are opening up their doors, like the businesses. And so we do expect the revenue to dip, and as a result of that, our revenue will dip. So thanks everybody for watching the live Q&A. Not live. Keep those questions coming, because I'm telling you, if I think of what I need to like talk about, I won't come out with a video. It's so helpful to get the feedback from you guys. So just tell me, I read every single comment, both when I post it on my Facebook and also on the YouTube videos. Yeah. Thanks so much for joining. I will see you guys next Tuesday. Bye.